How do you lead your teams, your people effectively when the stakes are high, when there is external pressure squeezing you? There's maybe data, there's pressure as you have to make decisions. Maybe you even feel like you have to compromise some of your values or the things that matter most to you. Maybe you're leading a toxic team and you're trying to figure out, how do I pull these people together? How do I get them to go from divided to aligned with our vision, with our mission, with our goals right now? Today, I'm going to be talking about how to lead at work, in the marketplace, in the industry without losing yourself. This is part 3 of a 3-part series that I've done on how to lead powerfully. So if you did not watch episode 1 and 2, the first 2 parts, I highly encourage you to go back, because we talked about personal mastery. Everything starts with being able to lead yourself first and foremost. Last week, we talked about how to lead at home, in your marriage, powerfully. And today we are talking about how to lead in those high stakes environments without losing your integrity, without losing your peace, staying on purpose. Get ready to discover the 3 foundations that I believe are essential to guide you through this season. And those are wisdom, trust, and respect. How do we lead with more of it? How do we get it? How do we multiply it? That's exactly what we're talking about in today's show. Hello. Welcome back to the show. It is Christine Jewell, and this is part 3 of a 3-part series that we have been doing on how to lead without losing yourself. Listen, too many leaders rise in power but fall in purpose. Listen to that. Too many leaders rise in power, rise in influence, rise in position, and then they fall in purpose. Today, we're unpacking how to lead in high stakes environments without losing your integrity, your peace, or your purpose, whether you're running a business, whether you're leading a team, whether you're influencing your industry. This episode will ground you in the 3 foundations that I believe are sustainable, spirit-led leadership. Okay. 3 foundations of sustainable, spirit-led leadership. And those 3 things are wisdom, trust, and respect. Hey, it's Christine. I'm interrupting our program for a minute to ask you a question. Could you use a breakthrough right now? What is the one area of your life that you know that if you had a breakthrough in this one area, if you broke through this wall of resistance, this challenge that you're facing, this mountain, that it would change the game for you in every other area of your life? Listen, if I'm talking to you right now, I want to let you know about a 30-day breakthrough coaching experience that I'm offering up for a limited time. It's where I'm going to work with 3 people very intimately, one-on-one. There's going to be daily touch points, daily action steps, and the opportunity to talk to me directly a couple times a week. And we're going to get to work on that one area of your life that is the domino that's going to knock down every other thing, that is just going to open the door. So here's who it's for. It's for those of you who are ready to roll up your sleeves, get to work. You want to execute at a high level. You want that person in your corner for support to call you out on the blind spots. It's also for those of you who don't want to deal with surface level fixes anymore. You want to get to the root of the problem. We're going to pluck the root out and we are going to clear the path. It might be mental operating systems. It might be spiritual stuff going on. It might be as simple as getting into full decision and getting clear action steps. So if I'm talking to you right now and you are ready for a breakthrough, click on the link below. There's going to be a short application for you to fill out. Once our team receives that, if we think it's a fit, we're going to send you the offer with all the details, the pricing, the investment, and the clear next step. You guys, if the program's full, we'll drop you into the wait list. Again, if it's a fit, we'll let you know when a spot opens up. So if you are ready for a breakthrough in this season of life, click on the link, fill out the application. I'll see you on the other side. So here's the deal. Often, I'm always inspired with these podcasts. Really, the motivation, the inspiration is the conversations that I have behind the scenes, the things that keep my clients up at night, the things that come through in discovery call questionnaires and strategy session questionnaires. When I ask people, what are you struggling with? What's on your mind? What are some barriers you can't seem to break through? What are some things that you're coming up against? And so often, the thing that people want that they can't seem to hold sustainably is trust and respect, right? The trust respect and influence over their teams or with their teams, with the people that they lead. So listen, this is part 3. Part 1 was 2 weeks ago. We talked about how to lead yourself. Okay. Everything starts with you. So I'm not going to go through identity. I'm not going to go through the foundations because that was part 1. If you can't lead yourself, you're not going to be able to lead through high conflict situations, shifting environments, mergers, dissension inside of teams, division. Like you're just not going to be able to do it. So go back to 2 episodes ago. Last week, I talked about how to lead at home. Specifically, I was talking to mostly the men, but this doesn't mean that women don't lead. I lead at home all the time. The podcast is relevant for everyone. I was specifically speaking to men. I believe God is really inviting men to rise and be the head of the house, the covering, the protection, the structure that allows your ecosystem, your people to thrive, right? Your wife to rise alongside you and stand with you and for you and do battle with you, to pursue a shared vision with you, your children actually thrive. So make sure you go back and listen to that. Today, I want to talk about how to lead in high stakes environments at work, right? In the marketplace without losing your integrity, without losing your peace, without having to have sleepless nights where you are waking up gripping in anxiety with your mind racing, waking up feeling behind. Number 1, I've already talked about it. You must know who you are. You must know who you are. The number 1 reason why people are flip-flopping all over the place is because they keep bringing a different person every day of the week. It's like you get a different version of me. Today, you get the happy version. Tomorrow, you get the pissed off version. The next day, you get the version of me that's been hijacked. Again, I don't want to regress into the old episodes, but it's important to remember that I'm speaking to those of you who've already listened to that last episode, and you've got to get your identity right. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you stand for before you can move into these 3 things. So everybody wants respect. Everybody wants trust. Everybody wants to be influencing their teams. How do I do this consistently without losing myself? I want to start at the top because before we even talk about trust, before we even talk about respect, I want to talk about foolishness, foolish decision, foolish ideas, like just foolishness versus wisdom. When Solomon, and I'm going to go biblical, I always do, I go back to the foundations. When Solomon was granted the kingdom, he was young. He was very young to be given the kingdom. And in fact, when he asked the Lord, he went before the Lord and he had a dream, and the Lord came to him and said, ask me for anything and I'll give it to you. You can ask me for anything. And so Solomon asked him, he said, I'm young. I really don't know what I'm doing. By the way, I'm paraphrasing this. I don't know what I'm doing. Give me wisdom so that I can lead these people well. He knew that he was stepping into massive shoes that were way too big for him based on where he was, his level of maturity, his level of growth, his level of all of it, faith, wisdom. And he asked for wisdom and understanding. It is so key because true wisdom allows us to have the fear of God, not the fear of man. How we lose ourselves. Where do we lose ourselves? We start having a fear of man, a fear of what will people think if I say no to this deal, if I make these cuts, if I cut off this arm of the business that's not producing revenue, if I let this person go that's been our number 1 salesperson but is toxic in the culture. If I do this, what will everyone else say? I just went through this conversation with a client recently who had to let go one of her key executive team members. Everybody else was rising. She's building a championship team around her, really a high-performing championship team that's all unified around a shared vision, mission, North Star, except for there was one that kept just pushing back, was resisting, was creating division, dissension, was grumbling, was not getting it, was not bought in, was misaligned. And she had to make a difficult decision to let this person go. And it was the right decision. It doesn't mean it was easy, but it was the right decision. It was a decision that she meditated on, she prayed over, she gave lots of opportunity to develop, to grow, to have this person step into the role, to be coachable, to expand, and it was not the right fit. And so boom, she had to make that decision. Hard, essential. And she made it from wisdom. She made it by seeking to understand, right? Seeking to understand means listening before jumping to conclusions, listening before solving, before trying to fix. It's really seeking to understand the heart of the people, the heart of the situation, and to really understand the lay of the land so that you don't make reactive decisions. Foolish people are reactive, right? They don't seek to understand. They just want to talk over everyone. They want to demand everybody listen to them, do what they want them to do. They're talking at their people. They're not coming down to meet their people and really seek to understand. So Proverbs 4:7 says, the beginning of wisdom is this: get skillful and godly wisdom, and with all you're requiring, get understanding. The Amplified Bible has an extension of that because the Amplified version expands the meaning of words, right? So with all you're acquiring, get understanding. Actively seek spiritual discernment, mature comprehension, and logical interpretation. Prize wisdom, and she will exalt you. She will lift you up, right? The very thing of not pursuing everything that the world wants, stature, significance, promotion, put me up higher, puff me up, make me the man, make me the woman. Don't they value what I'm doing? Don't they see? Am I getting the credit? Wisdom. Prize wisdom, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. She will place on your head a garland of grace and present you with a crown of glory. And this is so amazing because over and over again, the Lord has shown me this. Something I work through with my clients is as we really humble ourselves as leaders and as we seek wisdom, as we don't try to crawl our way to the top or demand our way to the top or lead from an authoritarian view or dictatorship. We lead with authority, but we are seeking to understand. We lead with wisdom. Wisdom is the thing that lifts you up, that establishes you, that continues to have people come around you. Wisdom is magnetic. It draws people to you. We talk about something called the attractor factor inside of our coaching circle. When I work with my executive coaching clients that want to say yes to doing things completely different, we talk about what are the biblical foundations for increase, for multiplication that are founded on truth. So we've coined this thing called the attractor factor. But when you lead from a place of wisdom, it's just attractive. People are drawn to you. In fact, we know, again, going back to Solomon, he was the wisest king. People traveled from all over the place because they had never experienced wisdom like his before. Wisdom is the ability also to discern, right, between matters, between right and wrong. There's a famous story in there of a dispute between two women where one woman they both had babies at the same time. If you guys don't know this story, you can go check it out. It's really awesome. And again, we're talking about a biblical story, but imagine this in the marketplace, because this happens all the time. These two women came to him. They both had something. They had a child, a young child, a baby that they were nursing. In the middle of the night, one lady rolled over, suffocated her child. The child died. So she ran into the other woman's room, took the baby, swapped them out. And when they woke up the next morning, the one mother realized, oh my gosh, my child is dead. It wasn't really her child. It was the other woman's child. She had swapped them out. So these two women come before King Solomon because the wise are also judges, okay? They can judge matters of the heart. They can judge matters in the industry. They can judge matters that is information that's brought to them. Even if it's deception, especially, you can see it when you have wisdom, you have discernment. You can spot the lies. You could spot the deception. These women come before the king to plead their case. And they're fighting over the baby. They're saying, no, this baby's mine. This baby's mine. And they're arguing with each other, as often do everyone, right? We think about kids do this. We think about team members sometimes do this if we've created environments where there is no unification. And what does Solomon say? He says, I have the solution. Bring me the sword. Bring me the sword. Let's just cut the baby in half. Then you can each have half a child. Now, of course, that sounds absurd, right? Of course, that sounds ridiculous. Who would do that? But what do you think the women did, right? One of the women says, yes, that sounds fair. Cut the baby in half. And the minute the woman said that, he says, give the child to the mother. Who the mother said, no, give the baby to her, save the baby's life, do not hurt the baby. And the woman that was willing to sacrifice, listen up, sacrifice the very thing that she held so dear, the thing that she knew belonged to her, the thing that she loved so tenderly with all of her heart, she was willing to lay it down. He knew that was her heart. That's the woman deserves that child. And he was able to judge fairly. It is that story has landed with me, not just as a cute little story, but also as in how to judge matters, how to discern things as they come before us. When there's griping, when there's people pitching their different ideas, it should be this, no, it should be this. Wisdom allows a leader to look at the heart of the matter because they serve a party of one, which is the Holy Spirit, which is God. The fear of the Lord is that I only am listening first and foremost. There is a direct line for me to the heavenly. The Spirit of God dwells in them so they can hear clearly. They can discern what is noise, what is lie, what is truth. And they're not swayed by the screaming and the noise. Oh, no, it should be this. No, it should be that. My idea is better. This is why we should do this. This is going to bring more revenue. All of that is just data. It's just noise. It's information. But it's nothing that is going to pull and determine the outcome. Information is brought in, it is assimilated, it's processed, it goes through the filter of wisdom, the filter of discernment, and then a decision is made from a grounded place. So I went long on this, but I really want to challenge you guys listening, ladies listening, all of us, as I'm looking at where I lead in the marketplace, at work, whether you have a team of 1, you have a team of 20, you're leading a company of 200, 1,000, you are leading in the marketplace. As you are looking at making decisions, this is when we lose ourselves. We start compromising. We start listening to all this noise. That's just a lot of noise. We are swayed by data, right? The data changes day by day. Data can be manipulated to support any theory. We have to be so careful because we say, oh, this is data. These are the facts. Well, we have to be careful because a lot of data has shifted. As we've seen in the recent years, we keep seeing data can be manipulated. There are people paid to manipulate data. That's what most research studies are. So listen, as you go out and you're making decisions, are you leading from wisdom, which is anchored in the fear of the Lord, the reverence? The fear of the Lord is the awe, the reverence. That is what I put at the top. Or is it anchored in fleeting numbers, fleeting information, people's opinions, and you feel hijacked every minute by the latest study that comes out, the latest white paper that comes out, the latest pitch that comes your way, the latest argument? If you're going to do that, you're like a puppet right on a string. You're just getting tossed about, and something else, someone else is always going to be controlling you. And when you feel like a puppet, you're being led by the world. You cannot lead effectively. You cannot lead from a place of authority. You cannot lead from a place of influence in this place. And the last thing I want to say about wisdom, this is important, is that as you climb up, right, as you are promoted, as you are put into positions of greater influence and greater authority, it is easy, like I said, to rise in power, but begin to fall in purpose, begin to fall out of alignment, begin to fall out of the place of your heart. And it happens so subtly, but this is exactly what happened to Solomon. He was considered the wisest, richest, wealthiest king. He literally had everything he could ask for. If you read Ecclesiastes, he says, man, if you gain everything but lose your soul, what profit is there in that, right? Is it really worth it? He's questioning everything. He had everything, all the riches, all the wealth, the position, the relationships, the alliances. But what happened is as his power grew, his wisdom grew, his position and his influence grew, so did his ego, right? He started to forget who put him there. And he started to entertain, listen up, foolish counsel. Foolish counsel. He started to have people, right-hand men, right-hand women, speak into his life, speak into his leadership in ways that were destructive, that were misaligned to the plans and purpose for his throne, for his purpose in that position of leadership. He started bringing women into his bed that were misaligned. He started having sex with the outside nations. He started bringing in idols, idolatry. And as he started falling for the women, y'all, sex is a potent drug. Okay. As he started saying yes and bringing wives in from neighboring nations, putting women in his bed, the potency of sex opens doors. And he started saying, okay, he started tolerating the counsels of his wives, his many wives, right? And now they were bringing in their counsel, the people that were speaking into their life. And they started erecting these altars to all these different gods. And so here's what happened. It became convoluted. Again, I'm using these biblical references because I believe the Bible is the greatest playbook for leadership. It just is. There's so much to learn there. But we do this. And idols doesn't mean we have to go erect a stone altar and we're burning incense and we're sacrificing there. Altars can be anything that we place our trust in, our faith in. It's a place of exchange. Well, if you just do that, then you're going to get this. If you just join this association, if you just take that extra loan, if you just partner with that company that you know is misaligned, that you know the leader is toxic, if you just do this, then you'll get ahead. There's a there's an exchange of power and a compromise of your values. It is a dangerous place. So we have to be careful that we don't begin to, number one, start to open up these doors. And this is what happens. We start letting foolish counsel speak into a life. Sometimes people that we think are well-intended. Okay. This is why you have to be so careful of who's on your board, right? And we all have a personal board of counsel. Some of you have boards, company boards, right? Chairs and of boards, but you need to know who is speaking into your life at a personal level, at a professional level, who's got access to really permeate your thoughts, your atmosphere. Because if you are a leader, you are called to take authority over the atmosphere, to be a guard of the atmosphere. If you don't, you'll lose yourself in the process. You'll start compromising. You'll start I call it prostituting. We start selling little bits of ourselves off to the highest bidder to try to gain a little bit more control, gain a little bit more security, gain a little bit more promotion in the marketplace, gain a little bit more favor with our teams. And every time we do that, it's like we don't really realize this. I use this term a lot. We're paper cutting. We're bleeding out slowly to death. So I had a lot to say about that because it's so prevalent in the conversations that I'm having. The question of who should I trust? Who should be on my board? Who should be in my executive team? The who's that we have in our life are so important. Wrong who's, you will lose yourself. The second part here I want to move into is trust. You've heard that, right? Like things move at the speed of trust. Here's what I want you to know. If you want your people to trust you, you must be trustworthy. If we want people to trust us, if I want my husband to trust me, my team to trust me, my clients, business partners, I must be trustworthy. Trust cannot be demanded. It can be expected, but it has to be earned. And so oftentimes it takes time for trust to be earned because people need to observe our character. They need to see that we are consistent, right? That we are consistent, that we lead with clarity, that we're grounded in who we are. There's conviction and that repetition, right? That repetition, they know, man, what she says she's going to do, she follows through. What he says he's going to do, he follows through. He doesn't change his mind like the wind. People will follow a decisive, grounded leader, listen, who is trustworthy even when they disagree. If they know that you're anchored, if they know that you're steady, if they know that you are consistent in character. This is so important, okay? James 1:6-8 says, a double-minded man meaning man or woman, is unstable in all his ways. Double-minded means I say one thing today, I do the other thing tomorrow. I know I said we're doing this, but we're changing gears. We're now doing that. One of the greatest frustrations of people that are in teams when they're trying to work with a leader, especially visionaries, is that they're always changing gears. I never know what the priority is, right? We have clear priorities and objectives today, but tomorrow something happens and boom, things change. Now, we need to be flexible. We need to be adaptive, right? We need to be able to adjust. And adapt and then execute according to different situations. But I'm talking about the character needs to be consistent, and that when we say something, that there's follow through. Again, so many people reaching out, you guys, I hear this like, why doesn't she trust me? Why don't they trust me? Why are they always questioning everything I do? I got to ask you, are you questioning everything you always do? Do you trust yourself? Would you trust yourself to lead you? Would you trust yourself if you were going through a difficult time, a difficult challenge? Would you trust yourself to lead you? And this comes with a double-edged sword, because we don't want to place all of our trust in ourselves, because that would be folly. That's not wisdom. But a trustworthy man or woman, I believe, this is my personal belief, place their trust in the one who is always trustworthy, who never fails, who is faithful. His faithfulness is a shield and a wall. Proverbs 3:5-6, one of my favorite verses. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. I believe that in order for me to be a trustworthy woman, a trustworthy leader, a trustworthy husband, you guys, trustworthy leader, CEO, whatever, you need to know that you are placing your trust in the one who never fails, that he's always consistent. And that if you know that you're created in his image, and I know that I'm created in that image, that means that is my goal. That's my objective, is to be trustworthy, to be faithful, to be loyal, to be consistent. I do it because that's who he made me to be. Now I'm human. I'm going to have times where I fall, but the question is, how quickly do we own it? We're going to fall. We're going to have times where we say, you know what, I have to change directions, but we have to lead initiative and conversation. When we fall, we mess up, we've got to lead and take ownership, not try to sweep it under the rug, hide it, avoid it so that nobody sees it. I see this all the time. Where a mistake is made at the top of leadership. Maybe there's people that tried to warn you. There's people that said, you know what, I'm not sure it was a great idea, or we made a commitment, we weren't able to follow through. Simple example, I had a client I was working with every year. They gave people bonuses. It was a thing, right? It was expected. It was not part of their performance plan, but they did it as a gift. But after so many years of doing these bonuses, people were expecting them. The company was going through a dip, and there was a cash flow. They were struggling with cash flow. And he was like, we're not going to be able to do bonuses this year. And it was like eating him alive. And I said to him, you've got to lead that communication, because there are people there now, because it has been established, right? We set precedents and it's been consistent. People have put their trust, okay? They're expecting this. And if you don't say something, if you don't lead it, there's going to be a break of trust. And this person waited too long and then had to do cleaning up. And they waited again. And instead of addressing the issue head on and saying, you know what, we want you guys to know we've done this. It is our heart's intention to do this. Here's the reality of the situation. Here's what we're committed to. They tried to sweep it under the rug, drag it on, talk in circles around it. And what happened was it started to erode trust. Something as simple as that. It could also be something like keeping a toxic person on the team for too long, and it starts to erode trust. It starts to erode culture in your organization. Saying you're going to do something and not do it. Every time we break a promise to ourselves, listen up, we are eroding trust. We are eroding the confidence level that people have in us. And I think I said this earlier, but trust is hard to earn. A lot of people now are afraid to trust others because they've been burned, they've been backstabbed, they've been betrayed. And so as leaders, we have a responsibility to establish trust within our teams and to know that it is a process. It takes time to build it. It takes time to earn it. It is a gift that they give to us by how we show up, and it can be broken like that. And once trust is broken, it takes work to rebuild it. Can it be rebuilt? Yes. It takes a lot of radical ownership. It takes a lot of consistency. It takes a lot of initiative, but it can be built. I did a whole episode on that. Okay. So if we want people to trust us, we must become trustworthy leaders. The question is, are you trustworthy? If not, let's start today. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Say, God, start making me a trustworthy leader. There's lots of things that I work through with my clients as we go through coaching, small things, big things. but mostly just the small daily practices of building trust a little bit at a time. That's how we get big trust, right? Where people will follow us to the ends of the earth. Okay, number 3, respect. Respect. Titus 2:7-8 says, in everything set them an example, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. This doesn't mean chase reputation. It is to recognize that respect, the respect and favor is a gift also, right? We have unmerited favor from God, but we earn, again, the respect of our peers, the respect of those who work for us and work with us, our team members. A great coach earns the respect of his team. He could be a hard coach. He could be really hard on the team, but if he leads with respect and he is trustworthy, he will gain the respect of his team members, right? If you think about this in athletic context. So again, just like trust, we can't demand respect. So many of us are saying, here, they should respect me. No, we attract it by how we live it out and by how we lead. So I want to say that respect begins with how you treat others, how I treat others. If we want other people to lead proactive communication and be respectful of our time, if we have meetings, to be respectful of our time. One of the things that really irritates me is when people disrespect my time. And as I started to get more and more triggered by that, I also started to get more and more convicted of where am I disrespecting either my own time, the time that is given to me by God, the time that I'm asking of other people. Am I showing up really appreciating, honoring, respecting, and multiplying the time? So if somebody's meeting with me, I want to make sure that I respect the time. That's not only just another hour, another 10 minutes out of their day, but they literally leave there better than we started. This is what I mean by multiplying time. Like in that 30 minutes, we could have done 8 hours of work, right? Or breakthrough in one call. It could feel like 3 sessions, 5 sessions worth of work, 3 months sometimes, boom, just like that. Do you lead with respect? Do you lead with respectful communication? I've seen leaders over and over again hear this all the time. I want my people to have respectful communication and learn how to communicate around here, but they're yelling. They're not responding to texts. They're not closing the loop on things, right? They're leaving things wide open, leaving their team guessing. They're not leading that way. They're not respecting the flow, the systems, the processes they've put in place, and yet they expect everyone else to. So you not only have to lead, but you have to uphold. Okay. This is the thing. If we want to earn the respect, we have to lead and uphold. When we lose ourselves in the process is we start disrespecting time. We say, okay, no, we're going to have this meeting time, or we're going to protect this block of time for deep work. And then we disrespect it. And we start allowing all kinds of other distractions to come in. We disrespect our priorities. We say these things are priorities. Then again, we throw other stuff in there. Not only are we breaking trust, but we're also showing that I actually don't respect my own time blocks. I actually don't respect my own blueprints that I put out. So this is so important, because how you lead, whatever we do in moderation, people will do in excess, right? They're watching, they're modeling, they're mirroring. That we're designed to mirror each other. This is a fact of neuroscience, that we have a part of our brain that is literally designed when we look at something to want to mirror it. This is why when two people get together over time, you'll start to notice, man, they start to look the same. They start to act like the same. They have the same mannerisms. It's literally how we're wired. It's a beautiful thing because it's wired for connection. It's a way that we connect with each other. It can be a beautiful thing if we're modeling respect, honor, trust, wisdom, right? We're challenging people to rise. It's a terrible thing if people are modeling disrespect, a lack of boundaries, a lack of communication, or dysfunctional, broken communication. So we need to set the structures, and then we need to honor the structures. We lose ourselves when we give all this stuff away all the time, meaning I say we're going to focus, and then I don't honor the time, right? If we put boundaries and we break the boundaries, if we allow gossip inside of our organization, this is a big one. It's crazy. I'm talking about this we're adults. We're adults inside of organizations. And yes, so many of us are tolerating gossip inside of our organizations, grumbling, toxicity, compromising values that we put up on the wall. We're letting people walk all over the values, and we're tolerating misalignment inside of our teams. The longer we tolerate it, the faster respect plummets. And this is why, circling back to that conversation I was saying earlier about one of my executive clients that had to let one of her key team members go, it was getting toxic. It was getting toxic inside of the team. And she knew, I cannot keep this person on here, or else it's going to infect and affect the whole team. So I want to encourage you as we close out today that don't let success, position, the desire to be established, to be liked by your peers, even fear, seduce you into self-reliance, that you have to depend completely on yourself, right? This is not about self-reliance, self-dependency. You got to figure it all out your own. Even Solomon fell when he stopped depending on God, when he stopped trusting in God, when he stopped surrounding himself with wise counsel and instead started entertaining fools, trusting in his own strength, his own wisdom. You've got to protect. You guys we got to protect our spirit. We got to protect our hearts. We got to guard our gates. Yeah, we all have gates. We all have gates that we're opening doors, right? We have gates to our office. We have gates by what we allow in our inbox. We have gates by what tabs we choose to open, what things we start to look at for entertainment on the side. We have gates at the conversations that we're going to entertain and go into, maybe because we're tired. We want a little relief. We just need to check out for a minute. Everything is a gate. We have to be on guard with the gates and protect. The idea of boundaries is to preserve the integrity of what's on the inside. We want a healthy, thriving organization. We got to protect the atmosphere. We got to protect what comes in. We want healthy dialogue, healthy communication. We want to have healthy teams that are unified. So as we close today's podcast, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for those of you who have listened all the way through. I thought this was a powerful conversation today. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be sharing this with all my private clients a lot of these podcasts are simply reiterations of so many of the things that we talk about on our calls, but there's so much gold in here. And I know that these are foundational things that I talk about a lot. And I didn't talk about strategies and do this and do that, because I believe when you lead from wisdom, the right strategies follow. When you are leading with respect, people will start to rise up, and out of respect, they'll bring fresh ideas, fresh solutions to the table. When you are trustworthy, people will trust in you. Doors will open. So many of the things that we're trying to figure out on the side or we're trying to get, they naturally start coming to you, being supplied. You're attracting them simply because of who you are. Everything's an inside game. As always, leadership is reflection. If you don't like what's on the outside, ask the Lord to show you what's going on the inside so we can start to restructure that and realign everything on the outside. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed yet to the podcast, to the channel. Share this with somebody. I have such a heart to show up here every week and to pour into you guys. And I need y'all to help me. Okay. I'm asking for your support right now to pass this podcast on to 1-2 people that you know would benefit from this today. As always, if you want to go deeper into this work, you're ready to lead more powerfully at home, at work, personally over your own health, I invite you to explore our different coaching options. Links are below. We have an amazing visioneering event coming up in December. Lots of great things for you to get plugged into. Until next time, here's to loving fiercely, leading courageously. Bye for now.